Are you good at being bad? Are you bad at being good? For heaven's sakes, go to hell. Knock on wood. Yo! Welcome back to the channel, everybody. The Third Ernest. You know how the shit goes. You know what we're about here. We're about rap reactions. We're about breakdowns of lyrics and all that kind of good shit. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Appreciate you being part of the fam. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe, especially if this is not your first video. I do appreciate the channel growth, and I do try to interact with my subscribers and the people who comment as much as possible. So it's not like it's just gonna be a subscription gone to waste. Today on tap, another song that I haven't heard yet. I've been putting off on listening to it because I wanted to react to it for the first time, and it's got a video associated with it, so I didn't want to just listen to the track on my phone. I wanted the actual reaction to the video itself. And that's gonna be Joyner Lucas's Devil's Work. And I know it's a little late, it's coming like 5 days late, maybe 4 days late, but I edit them fairly heavily to make the edits entertaining and, you know, something other than just myself talking to you as a talking head. So the edits kind of slow down the process, but we're switching that up based off of a comment from a longtime subscriber that I got saying that I should probably do first reactions with less editing so that way I could get them out there as fast as possible to kind of be in the mix and shit. And then songs that are a little older that I'm actually breaking down lyrics to, those I can edit as heavy and do the traditional, the third Ernest editing that the fam is used to. So that's what we're doing from here on out. We're editing heavy on older tracks, and then we're just trying to get them out as fast as possible for first reactions to kind of be in the mix of all the new shit. We're just gonna go ahead and jump on into it. I like when I got videos because I can put them down here. So let's just go ahead and jump on into Joyner Lucas's Devil's Work and see what this is all about, see what the hype's about. Got the Henny in the church with the Bible in his left hand, Henny in the right hand, his right hand man. That probably wasn't intentional, but just thought I'd throw that out there. Don't be selling me your ADHD merch when the album's been anticipated for like 10 years already. Just drop that shit and then I'll think about buying the merch.
Father, forgive me. I'm staring at this Bible as I keep glancing. Dear Lord, I got questions and I need answers. I'm trying to understand your vision, all I see is damage. Just a bunch of dead bodies in the street camping.
First off, I want to say that this is in a Catholic church. I only feel like it's that because here we have the Virgin Mary carrying newborn baby Jesus. And then we also had the crucifix being hung from the rafters. And I don't know, is that just a Catholic thing? For people who are other religions out there, I know Christians and Baptists and people of other branches of Christianity, they really don't have the crucifix in church. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Catholicism is the only one that hangs the crucifix in church because it's very heavily focused on him dying for our sins. But I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't know if Catholics are the only ones that have it in church like that, but from my understanding, that's the way it was. His whole demeanor already, this vibe gives me a whole vibe of Hobson's Ill Mind of Hobson. I don't remember if it's 6 or 7, but when he's kind of talking to God and questioning his whole reason for being, that's kind of already the vibe that I'm getting here, is that Hobson vibe.
All I see is damage. Just a bunch of dead bodies in the street camping. A bunch of lost souls on their feet standing. We supposed to be your children, I thought we family. You supposed to be my father, bro, I need answers. We don't need to die young, we just need chances.
See, these lyrics are something that a lot of people feel, especially like from the hood or from the struggle or from the ghetto or what have you, because you feel like you've been placed in that position directly by God. If you have any kind of faith or if you have any kind of sense of religion and you kind of grew up in the church, this is a hard song to listen to, but it's something that a lot of people struggle with, is questioning God's reasoning and questioning, you know, what you see around you. Because when you grow up in a struggle, you see a lot of issues, you see a lot of things. And what you see on TV is not like that. What you see from different races or upper echelon communities, they don't have the same issues that you have. And you're kind of wondering, like, why, God? Like, why am I not put in this position to succeed like they are? And that's basically what he's saying right here. Like, why are kids in the ghetto, you know, lost souls and things like that, while we got other people who are just, like, take for granted what they have?
Living on the edge, so we keep scrambling. Trying to talk to these strippers, but they keep dancing. We just want to be number one like Steve Francis. Bow my head said.
We just want to be number one like Steve Francis. That was Steve Francis's number. Fire. We just want to talk to these strippers, but they keep dancing. Like, we just want to try to get them and get their understanding, just like J. Cole said. He said, baby, look at how they show us on the TV screen, but all she ever want me to do is unzip her jeans. Like, she ain't trying to hear all that.
Boy, like Steve Francis, bow my head saying praying out of seas planet. Everywhere I turn, I'm seeing MCs vanish. A lot of good niggas gone, I don't understand it.
I hope that that's a Nipsey reference, because this song is obviously a couple of weeks, maybe a month and a half after Nipsey's passing. And also, obviously, we're talking about Tupac and Biggie. If Tupac and Biggie were around, who knows the way the face of the game would be.
It's gone, I don't understand it. A lot of families lost and they seeds stranded. I ain't trying to disrespect you, I just need answers. I know you're watching us from heaven thinking who to save. Cherry picking who should go next and who should stay. I'd be on my way to heaven if I knew the way. And bring back every good nigga you choose to take.
Oh, there's Pac. See? God damn. And by the way, Pac is the favorite artist of my homeboy that just passed. And someone had just said in one of the comments on one of my community posts that this song would hit me hard because of the message. And I can already see why, just based off of those last couple of lines. Like, he's cherry picking who to save and who not to save. And we're not trying to disrespect by asking questions. We just need the answers. But it's not on God to give us the answers. It's just on us to understand that there's a meaning behind every single thing that happens in life. Like, you don't have the answers, but you still believe anyway. And that's literally what faith is. It's believing. Faith is literally believing in something when you see no purpose in believing it. And if you know anything about, any religion, regardless if you're atheist, regardless if you study religion, or if you are actually a religious person, the main thing to know is that God really doesn't necessarily cherry pick. He puts us on this planet and gives us a reason to be, but also gives us free will. And things happen based off of that free will that we take. I understand where Joyner's coming from, seeing all the issues and things like that. In the end, we all have free will, and everybody chooses to do what they choose to do. And then we get judged when we get to that point at the gates.
And bring back every good nigga you choose to take. They say you never wrong, but you done made a few mistakes. Cause you taking the wrong niggas, maybe you should trade. Trade us back on the real ones, remove the fakes. I think you should trade. Give us Tupac back and say that nigga shook. Let the legend resurrect it, he gon' live for good. I've been streaming thug life in every different hood. If only you can bring it back, Lord, I wish you would.
He said give us Tupac and take that nigga shook. Damn. I see why this song is controversial now, because I saw it on his Instagram feed that Tori, whatever her name is, was in the song, I'm assuming later, in the fact that he had her just like he has Biggie right here, basically saying to take somebody else's life to replace someone else's. And I can see why people say that, but after just losing someone, I would never wish death upon anybody else. And for those of you that don't know, or who weren't really around or into hip-hop when Biggie and Pac were out, supposedly Suge Knight was one of the main players in the assassination of Tupac and, the whole beef in East Coast, West Coast that eventually caused the assassination of Tupac and Biggie. So that's why he's saying take Suge and give us back Tupac. Because the game would be a completely different game if Tupac and Biggie were still alive. That's for damn sure.
If only you can bring it back, Lord, I wish you would. Give us Biggie, give us Pun, give us Triple X. Take that nigga Trump with you, that's a bigger threat. There's too much power for a coward with no intellect. That's a bigger with a collar, there's a disconnect.
It's controversial, and God bless the First Amendment rights. God bless the rights that we have in the United States of America to be able to say something about our leader, the most powerful position in the world, and basically say that you would rather have him dead than XXXTentacion, than Biggie, than Big Pun. Big Pun was fired too. Basically talking shit about President Trump, which is fine. You have that right as an American citizen. Regardless if someone is standing with you or is in opposition to what you're saying, it's one of the blessings that we have as United States citizens that we basically have no bearing on the freedom of speech. As long as you're not inducing violence, or as long as you're not calling the violence or specifically threatening somebody. You could say, I wish you were dead, all you want, but you can't say, I'm gonna kill that motherfucker. That's a different story.
Nigga with a collar, there's a disconnect. Niggas dying, mama crying, grandma need a tissue. Niggas shooting up a church, now I need a pistol. All them niggas still...
Hold up, he said, shooting up a church, now I need a pistol. Like I need a pistol just to go to church. See the power in that message? He's questioning the violence that, quote unquote, God is causing in the hoods and the struggles of America and across the world, that we can't even go and pray to him and ask him about it without requiring a pistol be brought to service. That's just powerful.
You don't see the issue, but how you say Selena, then you say Aaliyah with you.
I hate pausing it this much because I feel like I got no flow in the fucking song. But the boy paid respect to Selena. So I gotta give mad props for that. Because Selena was born 2 hours from where I live in Corpus Christi. And she was a god in fucking Texas. She was a god in the Mexican community, but specifically Tejano music, which is extremely popular in the state of Texas for the most part only. You know about Selena because of the movie. We knew about Selena just because that was our girl. But Aaliyah, another GOAT, gone way too soon.
It's Alina, then you take Aaliyah with you. I ain't trying to disrespect, just need a meter with you. I ain't trying to overstep, just want a reason with you. Give us back our loved ones and take the evil with you. Send them suckers straight to hell, they don't need a vigil. I need you to give us back Martin Luther. Take Martin Shkreli, give us back Malcolm. Take R. Kelly.
Ooh! He said, take Martin Shkreli. And if I remember about Martin Shkreli, maybe I have him mixed up with somebody else. Someone make sure that I'm right in the comments below if I'm not. But isn't he the one that raised the price on AIDS drugs and on like from $50 a pill to like $500 or $600 a pill? Like basically making it unaffordable for people who have AIDS to survive, because that is medication that is needed in order to keep the HIV virus at bay and not have it actually turn into full-blown AIDS. And then he said, take R. Kelly. I don't wish, like I said, I don't wish death on anybody, but if something were to happen to somebody that I guess deserved it, I don't know, it's kind of a weird stance that I have because I don't wish death upon anybody, but I'm a firm believer in capital punishment. Maybe that's just the Texan in me. Who knows?
Give us back Malcolm. Take R. Kelly. R.I.P. Lil Snoop. Get that boy
Lil
life
Snoop
back.
is bad.
Take Eric Holder. Give us Eric right back.
Woo!
Sending you this message, Lord. I hope you hit me right back. They say I'm on the wrong train. I know I'm on the right track. Cause Trayvon Gordon all he did was try to fight back. Zimmerman walk around free. We don't like that. Why you take our mothers from us?
And that's another one. Like, I want to believe in the American judicial system where people go through due process, and if you're found not guilty or guilty, it's based off of certain things that were presented in evidence. And I know that a lot of people who come from disenfranchised areas of the United States, they feel like the judicial system doesn't work in their favor. They don't get that due process. They're guilty until proven innocent. Especially in today's day and age and social media where everybody has an opinion. It's almost like the court of public opinion is really what matters as opposed to the actual courtroom. Zimmerman's a clear example of that. And just like OJ, we all know that motherfucker did it, but he got off because the prosecution didn't have a convincing enough argument to say that he definitely did this. Because I grew up in an area that's not exactly the best area in San Antonio, Texas. I grew up on the south side of San Antonio, which has its issues, which has its kind of hold on people who are from the hood. It's got that cyclical nature like J. Cole talks about of drugs, violence, prison, out, drugs, violence, prison, out, that same situation. So I can see why people, don't trust the judicial process. It's supposed to be blind, but how can it be blind when you got people who have prejudices that are sitting at the judge, that are sitting in the jury? There's never going to be a perfect form of government. There's never going to be a perfect form of justice, unfortunately. That's the whole point of the song, is that even though we have this imperfect judicial system and imperfect process, and we're all imperfect, once we get to the judgment period, once we die and we get to heaven, like if we're made in the image of God, and we're imperfect and we have bias and prejudice, how are we supposed to believe that even though our judgment down here is clouded, that we're gonna get up there and it's not gonna be clouded? Hence why we need answers right now.
Zimmerman walk around free, we don't like that. Why you take our mothers from us? Fathers and our sisters and our cousins from us. Got these children getting murdered while they double dutching. Wonder why the fuck you take Nipsey Hussle from us? Damn, you took a true king, a true brother from us.
Bro, when Nipsey passed, I was in mad shock. A lot of people never really listen to Nipsey, especially where I'm from. San Antonio radio is fucking garbage. Everything that this channel stands to be against when it comes to bars, when it comes to breaking down lyricism and trying to find the true hip hop in the world, San Antonio radio is the exact fucking opposite of that. But Nipsey, man, he had the mentality that I wish a lot of people had. He had the mentality of growing up in the struggle, but using that and making it stronger and turning it into a hustle that's sustainable. He was a true pioneer, and the kids could have learned so much from him. And that's literally one that's gone way too soon. There's only been a couple celebrity deaths that have really hit me hard. Nipsey and Mac Miller are probably the two most recent ones that I can remember that I'm like, damn. And he's like, why you take our mothers and our brothers and our sisters and our cousins from us? It's almost like you're asking the wrong person, because it's not really God taking them from you. But who's doing it if it's not God? So you see the struggle?
Wonder why the fuck you take Nipsey Hussle from us? Damn, you took a true king, a true brother from us. This a fucking marathon, but they running from us. Man.
This a fucking marathon, but they run it from us. That's important because Nipsey Hussle's clothing line and his whole thing was that life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So we're still tying it into the Nipsey Hussle thing, but moving on.
Man, everybody got guns, niggas up to something. And every gangster wanna prove that they tough or something. You know it's not feelings too. But if you took Emmett Till, at least take Dylan Roof.
Ooh.
At least take James Holmes. I ain't even mad at that. Just bring back Whitney and give us Michael Jackson back. Fizz.
Emmett Till's mom was a fucking G for having an open casket. God, if you don't know the story of Emmett Till, people who are from the United States more than likely know the story of Emmett Till, that he was a boy that was in Alabama, I believe, or in the South during very racist and prejudicial times. And, you know, he was beaten and murdered basically just because he was black. And his mom was a fucking G and held an open casket so that way everybody could see what they did to him. And that's one of the turning points in the civil rights movement. He said, bring back Emmett Till and take the two that caused the mass shooting in the church, and then the Colorado shooting, I believe, was the other one. And then before I move on, that's a tough one to say, bring back Michael Jackson. Obviously, we don't want to see him die, especially the way he went out, you know, basically being overdosed. But he's got a lot of controversial history around him. And how can you say bring back Michael Jackson knowing the controversial history that's around him, but say take R. Kelly at the same time? That's a tough one.
And to slam it down. Ain't no justice for Sandra Bland, we up like a Salem fan. Lord, if you listen, I'm just looking for a hand in hand. Take out the fuck niggas and give us back our fam again. Drowning in my tears, trying to pray for some. Wonder why you give us life for you to take it from us. Wonder why you give us family then erase it from us. Maybe hopefully you can have a conversation with us. Maybe I'm just probably tripping cause I need a hug. The hood can't find jobs, now we need a plug. Everybody and their mama trying to be a thug. I don't go to church cause I'm afraid of being judged.
I don't go to church because I'm afraid of being judged. That's a big one, especially in the Catholic religion, because it's all about judgment. But like I said earlier, he doesn't come to church because he doesn't want to be judged, because if we're made in the eyes of Jesus to be made in his image, how can he judge us when we can't even judge ourselves?
I don't go to church because I'm afraid of being judged. I've been staring at the ceiling as I lie in bed, watching niggas follow trends like Simon says. I pray you give us back the real ones and try again. Or maybe take them niggas that deserve to die instead. Tommy Lauren run them out, but then she get defensive. Lauren Ingram laughing at death and disrespecting. I really feel like you should teach them stupid hoes a lesson. Either that or give us back somebody who deserved the blessings.
Now I see why he put what he did on IG, or why she said what she did. What's her name, Tori or Laura or whatever? The second one, that's mad disrespectful. To be laughing at basically Nipsey Hussle's death, that was mad disrespectful. Even I got mad at that. Tori, I'm not a fan of hers at all, but you know, she has the right to say whatever she wants. She panders toward her audience, which is basically a predominantly male, predominantly white, predominantly conservative audience. She says things that are over the top, just like everybody else says things that are over the top to pander toward their audience. But one of my longtime OG subscribers, Willie, I'm sure you've seen him in the comments if you've been around for any number of time before my comments start to blow up. He didn't really fuck with this song too much because he didn't like the negative connotation of wishing death upon other people. I can kind of see where he's coming from, because while she says things that I don't agree with and she can kind of be racist, and obviously because she's pandering toward a certain demographic, still not a reason to wish death upon anybody. He didn't specifically say to kill her. He just said that he wishes she could switch spots, which is basically saying that he wishes she could be dead as compared to somebody else. We don't know what's in his eyes. And I normally have problems with songs like these because I feel like they're pandering to certain audiences, but you can hear the emotion and you can hear the fact that, you know, he put a lot of thought into these lyrics.
I left out a bunch of names that I forgot to mention. Cost too much to pay attention and it got expensive. Father, forgive me, for I know not what I do, and now I'm reaching out to you hoping you hear me and return the message. I know that you got a back and that you're not against us, or maybe you just love us so you're doing shit to test us. I just kinda thought that you would do more to protect us. They say the good die young and I ain't on the guest list. I've been drinking, Lord, forgive me as my blood racing. I don't know what I'm thinking, I'm just frustrated. I don't mean to question you, I'm just confused. I don't know what else to do, I've been patient and it sucks waiting. Took my mans from me, that forever hurts. But putting the blame on you, that'll never work. I know this ain't your fault, it's the devil's work. Devil's work.
That's an important line right there. So you see how in the end he said, I know it's not your fault, it's the devil's work. What brings the song all together is that very last part where he's talking about the fact that he knows it's not God's fault, but he doesn't have anybody else to talk to or ask answers from, because the devil's not going to answer him. He knows it's the devil's work because this is not the work of Jesus. This is not the work of God. He's just wishing that he could have answers from Jesus and God because he has no one else to turn to. That took the whole cynical nature of the song and turned it into, I know it's not y'all's fault, but I have no one else to turn to and ask these questions. It's fire. And I can definitely see why people said that this was going to hit me hard, because it does feel like, with my friend being taken, that the good do die young. That was a deep ass song. If everybody gets there at one point in life where you feel like nothing is going your way, there's only one person you can think to put the blame on that would have that kind of power, and that's normally God. But that's just who we are as human beings, you know? Without questions, we wouldn't have anything like this. You know, the fact that we can even question our existence in general, it's inevitable that these type of questions toward the religion that you potentially believe in or don't believe in are going to come up. 5 minutes with no hook, there's not too many artists that can do that and have that powerful ass message that it does. The video, you know, the Hennessy bottle, and he left it behind. That's him leaving his sins, leaving his vices behind in the church, which is technically what you're supposed to do. When you go to church to cleanse your soul. It's a tight video, you know. I appreciate everyone that's watching this, everyone that suggested it. Like I said, you know, we're back on train, we're back on track, I'm back in the saddle. Appreciate everyone that viewed my last video on Eminem and Logic, or Logic and Eminem homicide, because that video got like 5,000 likes in 24 hours. And that's not a lot, you know, compared to other channels. But for my channel that only has 5,000 subscribers, you know, in one day to get 5,000 views, that's definitely record breaking for me. So I appreciate that everybody that supported that. If you like this video, please give it a like, you know, and subscribe. Like I said, comment on your own thoughts on the video. I do try to answer as many comments as possible. That's one of the good things about being a subscriber to this channel and being a family member, is that it's not an empty subscription. You know, you leave a comment, I try to see it. I try to answer every single comment up to a certain point, because, you know, I can only do so much. Helps the channel, helps me grow, helps me interact with y'all guys as much as possible, because I love doing that shit. But other than that, fam, I'll see y'all guys on the next video. Peace out.